Hello, everybody. The Meloman here again today, and I am here with Camilla. And
Hi.
yeah, Camilla, she is an artist. She is a dancer. She is an athlete. She's a yoga instructor. She's a doula. She is the creator of the Pranic Woman's Program. She's a breatharian mother. And I think that that is a feat that we will definitely have to discuss. I'm excited to have a chance to speak with Camilla. We spoke with Akai last week, and that was very entertaining. Akai and Camilla are husband and wife breatharians. So, who's met a breatharian and who's met and spoke to a breatharian couple, right? This breatharian couple are planning are getting ready to do their next retreat in Paris. And my wife and I are going to do the program online. It's an 8-day breatharian transformation program. Is it breatharian? And we are excited to be doing that together, modeling after Camilla and Akai, and really looking forward to that. So we want to discuss all of that today. Before we talk about all of that, though, Camilla, can you just tell me how you got into breatharianism? How did this happen?
Yeah, sure. Hey, John, and hi to all of the beautiful people watching in. It's so good to be here with you and have this opportunity to chat about some pretty awesome topics and lifestyle, ways of living. So very happy to be here. And yeah, definitely, I would love to talk about my transformation process into
Yes.
breatharianism and just how it has been for me. I think that it's good to acknowledge that everyone is naturally a breatharian. If we just first can clarify, how I will be using the word and the term breatharian is a person who is in pure and sacred relationship with the source of life. Someone who is conscious that that source of life is delivered to us largely through the breath and this natural mechanism that every second of our lives we are practicing and utilizing. So this is my definition of breatharianism. Of course, there are many tangents and natural consequences to living in that lifestyle, which we'll kind of get into deeper, I guess, as our conversation goes along. So I think that when I really became aware of, kind of questioning my place in the world, my desires for my life, when I was a young person and in college, and having those thoughts, there were a lot of things that I started to question, just different, we could call it programming, that I grew up with and I saw modeled to me through my society. And so I started to question a lot of things in terms of, how I related with the world and the different kind of ways that I had of thinking and perceiving things. And this started to kind of transfer over into the practices of my life. I would say that during that time and kind of late adolescence, early adulthood, I felt just naturally this desire to switch my diet. I had been a vegetarian from, probably about 13. But then I, became more, I think, aware of the the practices of, raising animals and how they're utilized in different ways, and it didn't feel so nice to me. And in that time, kind of a really sensitive awakening, I just felt, to start to change my diet and the way that I kind of consumed in the world. And all of this was paired with just an awakening of consciousness. So I started actually to, question so much everything that I felt really the desire to kind of leave the normalcy of society, and I wanted to travel and really just find myself and discover the world, and get to know different cultures and different ways of life, and in all of that diversity, identify myself and really kind of get to know the essence of who I am.
Okay. Can I just ask you now, Camilla, how old are you?
I am 32.
32.
Yeah.
And you said something there at the beginning. You said that you think everyone is a breatharian.
Absolutely. Yes. We all are. We are all living a different kind of degree of experiencing it, but absolutely we are.
So it's not a special thing.
I don't think it's a special thing. I mean, I think that life is a special thing. So absolutely, it's one of these amazing capacities that we have as human beings to explore. But yes, everyone can do it. We've seen it mirrored in sort of time-recognized masters like Jesus and Buddha, who we also idealize, But if we can recognize that God presence, that power within us, then we can also realize that we all have the capacity to reach illumination now, and that it's not a far-fetched theory, but it's, an actual reality.
I love that. That God presence, that illumination is available to all of us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, I feel that for certain is true.
Yeah.
And I say that all the time, but it's so wonderful to hear somebody else say it,
Yeah, doesn't it feel good?
Oh, it does. It feels wonderful because I feel like I'm always saying that, but not hearing other people say that.
Yeah, it's good.
That's
So
great.
good.
That's great. Okay, please, sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, no, that's okay. I mean, the story can get pretty long, so I'll try to maybe go a little quicker.
And if you don't mind, I'll just ask you questions
Yeah,
along if I feel.
absolutely. Yeah, just feel free to interrupt.
Okay.
So, okay, then in my travels, I started backpacking through South America. And then in the beginning, I was just kind of discovering my freedom and just what it really meant to be on my own, a lot of really eye-opening experiences as, being a woman in the world, and what it's like to be a woman, seen as alone, traveling. And so that was really...
How old were you then?
I was 19.
Wow.
Yeah. So definitely when I think about my own daughter doing something like that, it freaks me out. But
well, my daughter's 15. My oldest daughter's 15. And when I think of my daughter doing that at night, oh
my poor parents. Oh gosh.
But you were born in South America?
I was born in California.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And you just said to mom and dad, I'm going.
Kind of, yeah.
I'm 19. I'm old enough to make my own choices.
Yeah.
Oh my
I mean, definitely I asked for their blessing, but it was that's a whole nother topic.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Anyway.
All right. So you're traveling around South America by yourself at 19.
Yeah. But definitely I had a really, a clear sort of vision, and I felt really safe. I felt really protected. And I think when we have that sort of confidence in life, then life responds to us with those sorts of experiences. I was, I think, also young and innocent. And so, the people who I was interacting with also recognized that. And, that it showed me the beauty of humanity, really. How people, when they see your vulnerability, when they see your innocence, I would say for the most part, like 99.9% of the time, they will respond with love, you know, they will reciprocate that. So, you know, that was all really good, very great experiences in that respect. But in this sort of discovery of myself, I really turned to art, to dance. I had been a gymnast for many years growing up, and then, studied many different styles of dance. And so at that time in South America, there was such like a traveler artist kind of bohemian vibe, you know, people from all different countries were traveling and as artists and able to kind of express and use that expression to, you know, fund their travels and have this super enriching cultural experience. And so I just really felt myself kind of seamlessly slip into that artist lifestyle, and be empowered also by that, you know, to see the just what our talents can give us, you know, when we really start to discover them and kind of lean into them. And around this time is when I met Akai, and so that was a beautiful and, you know, pivotal moment. And also I think both of our desires to, you know, at a young age, find that person that you want to be with and experience love and experience all of this kind of, conscious evolution. So yeah, we did. We decided to travel together, and then in those travels, we felt so rich, you know, not necessarily financially so rich, but our lives were super rich, and the way that we were being empowered was so fulfilling that we were so rich. And so we decided to create this project in which we were traveling to remote villages throughout many different parts of South America, but the Andes, through Ecuador, Peru, Bolivia, some of the Amazon between Bolivia and Brazil, and bring art to these smaller villages where, you know, children and the communities aren't maybe so aware of all of these amazing artistic possibilities that we have. So, it was a deeper dive into life and into experiencing, you know, opening my mind and into the way that other people live. And it was a way of getting closer to these, to indigenous cultures that are so connected to the earth and the elements and the representation of all of life, you know, all of the symbolism, but how it's actually still lived and maintained in these.
And I see that, and I'm seeing that a lot now. You know, I've been speaking with a lot of healers from all over the planet, and I keep on hearing and seeing that same message that, you know, there's the doctors that have healing programs, but the truth is that all the doctors that have really healed people, that have really made transformative programs, they learned how to heal from shamanic culture, from tribal culture, from indigenous people, from ancient messages, from you know, locals, from people that have just lived with the earth, right?
Absolutely. You know,
this is how we learn to heal. It's coming right back to being in nature.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, talk about being in balance, you know, it's everything supports each other. And so when we are able to learn from that we learn our place in that balance, and, you know, that our mind, our emotions, our physical body, our spirit is all kind of symbolic of the earth elements too, you know. So
And this
yeah,
is
with
it, is that we're all so divided from the nature because we're all so busy working in the rat race and paying the bills, and all we're thinking about is getting to work on time, getting
yeah,
back to make dinner and take care
yeah,
of the kids and take them to soccer. And we're just so stuck in this thought and paradigm that this is what life is,
yeah.
that we're missing the naturalness of life.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
And
especially here in North America, you know,
yes,
it's a fast-paced life and
right,
everything is so expensive and
right.
we have to do all these things and give our children all these opportunities.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, you know, it is a real challenge, you know. It's one thing to say, yeah, be in balance and live, you know, in harmony, but to actually live it as a whole is a whole nother thing.
To do it in North America, right?
Oh, yeah,
Because
I mean, I would say definitely it's a unique kind of culture. Yeah, it's very fast paced. I think many different places around the world are not necessarily as
yeah,
kind of demanding as our society is.
exactly. And the kids is a big one because the kids, they want to fit in.
Well, there's that too. Yeah, which is
They
where we as parents, you know, really have to um, question, well, where do you want to fit into? What exactly are you trying to do here? You know, just the guidance in being really the pillar, the example of what's cool and what's, you know. But yeah, there's many influences, many influences.
mhm.
So exactly for, you know, those reasons, I felt to kind of get out of that, and this sort of traveling and with my art was me understanding that yes, there are different ways of living, you know.
Yeah.
And yeah, and now coming back, it's very much about putting all of that into practice, you know, here in this place that is so stimulating and fast paced. But yeah, so through the travels then and in these indigenous villages, there were more kind of opportunities for learning about plant medicine and yeah, natural medicine and ways of healing and traditions with the earth and the cosmovision of the high plains of the Andes, and going to sacred sites where, you know, human beings still can't necessarily describe how these huge rocks or monuments were placed in such perfect order. But yeah, and so feeling the power of all of that really started to transform my perception of art and how I wanted to kind of explore art. And it became more of an inner journey then, kind of beautifying myself from the inside out, we could say. Um, you know, taking a look at in the Andean culture, you know, in the Lake Titicaca, you know, are you familiar with?
Heard of it. I don't know what's that.
Yeah, it's sometimes called the belly button of the earth. It's a huge, enormous lake at the very top. It's in between Peru and Bolivia.
Ah,
But if you see it from above, there's a part of the lake where it looks like a puma is kind of like eating a head. It looks like a puma is eating a person. And in that culture, there is this representation of that kind of the ego of the human being eaten, you know, the balance of the creative energy kind of coming back into the body. So all, you know, as you can see, all of this culture, this influence was kind of, yeah, making me reflect on different parts of myself from where I came maybe physical things that were happening in my body, kind of understanding, like you mentioned before, you may be a great doctor, but it's really it almost comes down to the self-healing capacity, somebody like giving you the tools so that you can realize that you can heal yourself. So I started discovering that, and then I just pretty much stumbled upon breatharianism. It was kind of a natural consequence. At that time, I started eating just raw food, because also in all of this travel, sometimes we were in remote villages and we had like an abundance of oranges or mangoes or bananas or, potatoes. And so just really eating what there was, and exploring the abundance, and kind of really understanding the role of food and flavors and the senses. And so, yeah, it was around that time when I was introduced to the idea of breatharianism.
It's really like there was a detachment from food, really, because you just had what was available.
Yeah, definitely. It wasn't, I didn't think about it, it was just like, I didn't say I'm today going to be a fruitarian, from here on out. It was just kind of naturally, how like in normal society, we're thinking about going to the grocery store and stocking up and like filling the pantry and, having enough. And I just stopped thinking about that.
Yeah, so a detachment from all of that worry about food and expectation of food and planning that next meal. And it just kind of happened when it was available. If it wasn't available, it wasn't available. If it was once a day, it was once a day. It didn't.
And it was always available. That's the thing. It's like there was always abundance. It just, I think the importance of it, because also seeing people who maybe, do live like that, where you eat when you can, and when you can't, well, you just don't. Understanding, that the human being is really capable of withstanding a lot of different circumstances. And so, in maybe my kind of like mentality, I was craving certain meals or things, and then as I witnessed that, and I started to kind of, I don't know, grasp more depth of life, you kind of question your own necessities, and what's really necessary and absolutely vital to your existence, and what is just, a lot of what is extra.
We think we need, we say we need, we're in a routine of doing, we're in a habit of doing.
Yeah, exactly.
But, we can get over those habits. Things like coffee, things like alcohol, things like crackers and cheese, and things, processed foods, bags of chips, ice cream. I mean, these things, we think we need them. We're so attached to them. But we can learn to let them go. It's really choice.
Yeah. It comes down to choice and kind of like reprogramming, creating different kinds of habits,
Yes.
Learning to enjoy different kinds of things. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's an important part of breatharianism.
Yeah, I think so.
You have to be making those conscious choices that you want to come back to what's most natural, and you want to find out about this power that's within. You've got to be intrigued by that power, and you've got to be consciously choosing to want to find and understand and reach to and connect with that power.
Yeah, definitely. That's a very good way of putting it. You have to trust in it, you have to believe that it's there, and then it begins to show you its magic. I think also it's kind of important to point out that, breatharianism is really often associated with not eating. We haven't really talked about that yet, but it is definitely, there's this kind of stigma to it that like a true breatharian never eats. It's almost like it's the last stop on the dietary, plan. But for me, it's never been about that. I wasn't so interested in that part of it. What I saw was the possibility to heal my genetics, to kind of like stop the train of my life and really just let my essence shine through. It sounds kind of, I don't know, maybe like a little bit fluffy, but that was my kind of intention in discovering this.
You just wanted to express yourself fully. You wanted to express your light.
Yeah, and I didn't really want to be influenced anymore, maybe by certain beliefs that I had maybe grown up with, or, like just maybe habits that I learned when I was a little girl. Like I wanted to just kind of know who I was beyond those things. Like, okay, well, are they actually a part of me? Great, I'll love them and accept them. Or, I'm just kind of going through the motions in certain ways. So I think that when we see breatharianism and pranic living really as a space of infinite possibilities, when we don't limit it to this idea of achieving illumination through not eating, we do in fact access those limitless possibilities. And we make that sort of natural side effect of less necessity and food freedom actually tangible, but in a very kind of seamless and natural way. Instead of making that our 100% focus, that just creates kind of
pressure,
an unrealistic obsession.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, that's not the point of it. It's not about that. So yeah, I think it's important to clarify that as well.
So to clarify then, it's more about connecting with that power and that light within you than it is about not eating.
Yes. For me personally, yes. Yes.
Yeah. It's about expressing the light energy and the power within you and reducing food or eating minimally or not eating for some periods of time or not eating for an extended period of time is helpful in connecting more deeply with that energy. But once you've made a contact with that energy, it doesn't have to be all about not eating anymore, because you've now made a natural connection with that energy and are able to express it now more fluidly, and you can eat sometimes or not eat sometimes.
Exactly, because what it does is it satisfies those psychological hungers, that sort of emotional hunger or void, desire to fill something. Oftentimes our habit of eating or necessity is born of this, desire to fill a void or to cover up uncomfortable emotions or to not face, something that we should face. And that's, I would say probably the number one cause of obesity is just not knowing how to manage your emotions and your thoughts. And so when you are spiritually satisfied, that overflows, into your mind, and you have a greater clarity of mind. Your emotions are more at peace. You have just a more controlled spectrum of emotion. What's healthy for you, and maybe where you don't want to go. And so you have that sort of self-mastery. And by doing that, you achieve this food freedom because you're not controlled, by external influences to fill your void, but you're so full already that whatever you choose for your life, you do so because it will bring you joy, that you'll learn from it, that it'll be an awesome experience, you'll love it, and so you have more of a conscious capacity to create your life.
So tell me, Camilla, the body can function without food?
Yeah, it can. Science gives a certain timeline for that, but I myself have lived much beyond that timeline. Oftentimes it's said that after, I think it's 48 hours of no liquid that, you will die. But I've been 7 days without liquid, and just so strong and vibrant through that experience. And I mean, if you think about it, you could, not eat for an entire day and you'd be okay. Maybe you'd be like hungry at the end of the day, but you'd be okay. But if you didn't breathe for your entire day, like, you can't not breathe for 24 hours. So just that kind of example right there shows us that, there's a whole nother energy source maybe that we're overlooking, this mechanism of the breath, and not just the air that we breathe, but the actual energy that we breathe. Here in Western society, we're not so used to talking about energy or, kind of beyond what we can see. But other cultures have, names for these things. Like in Sanskrit, the life source name is prana. That's why, pranic living, because it is the awareness of this life source that creates everything that exists. And so when we recognize that we are largely receiving that source through our breath, then we can definitely be extended periods of time without eating.
Now what does the sun have to do with it? What does the earth have to do with it?
So, like we've been talking about kind of ancient cultures, for example, in South America, the sun is the god, the Inti Tata, Inti Sun. He is the creator of all life. So the sun is, oftentimes seen as just that, it's our sort of guide. We know that when there's light, there's life. We feel more energy. In places that have long winters, there's like incredible statistics of depression from the cold and the dark, so the sun absolutely gives us that life source, that literal spark of life that brings light into our lives.
Do you sit in the sun?
Oh yeah, I love the sun. Mm-hmm. And the morning rays of sun when life is kind of waking up again, and that's an incredibly nourishing moment, and it comes back to kind of recognizing that element of fire.
So that's an important aspect of like attaining a food-free life or a food-less life, or just unfooding or reducing food, is gathering more of that energy from the sun.
I think that it's a good place to start, is to, start by connecting to the elements and, sungazing, this practice of sungazing, which is receiving the pure light of the sun through your eyes and letting that kind of send messages throughout your nervous system. It's an amazing place to start. And as you kind of deepen into that sort of awareness of nature's elements and, you know, what the air is contributing to your life, and the water, both symbolically and, you know, literally, we can kind of then begin to find all of that within ourselves. So it really comes down to reaching a place of self-sustainability.
So
You know,
there's a stopping of meat. There's a moving to raw food.
in many cases, I've met people who have just said, you know, like, this inspires me so much that I'm ready for it, you know, like full on meat eaters. And, you know, the awakening of consciousness oftentimes doesn't have like a methodical process. It's sometimes very abrupt. And so, you know, there's not just one way of reaching this point. I think that there's, when you feel the desire, it can happen at any time. But yeah, you know, the cleaner your system is, the easier it will be to be days in fasting. Because, for example, in the 8-day program that we teach with Akai, you know, there are some days of juicing, and then there are 3 days of dry fasting. So we experience 72 hours in that state of, you know, pure prana.
Whoa.
But the difference here is that, you know, instead of seeing it as a dry fast, you know, which kind of implies that you're, well, like negating something to your body, you know, you're not allowing it. You're instead kind of replacing that time of normal consumption with powerful energy boosting practices. So exercising your body through the breath, receiving it in different ways, quickly, slowly. Yeah. Finding
breath work. So sunlight, breath work, movement, exercise, grounding.
Yeah. I mean, they're all definitely, that's a good word for it. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. There are many different practices included in the process that we teach.
To help you gather energy in alternate ways rather than from food.
Yeah, exactly. To also, you know, find that energy within yourself, to come to see yourself through this relationship that you create with the breath as kind of like a dynamo battery, you know, something that has the possibility to charge itself.
Coming back to the breath is very important.
It is.
Absolutely. We lose track of the breath. We don't pay attention to it. Sometimes we're shallow breathing or not breathing, and we're not paying attention to it, and we're lost in the rat race. And the breath is a big one that we're forgetting.
Yeah, absolutely. Through the breath, we can bring more vitality into our body. You know, sometimes we feel drained from our experiences. Just through this natural breathing mechanism, we can come back. We can boost ourselves. We can energize.
Sunlight, exercise, raw foods, fasting, dry fasting, emptiness, connecting with the power within. All of this is a part of the journey to unfooding, to reaching the pranic lifestyle.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it all comes back to just finding what's best, you know, with all of these tools, creating your own kind of rhythm and that communication with yourself so that you can, you know, kind of fall in love with yourself again, to learn how to really respect yourself and give yourself what you want and what you need. And yeah, really treasure your life.
And what you may need or what you may want may be ideal for you and may be helpful for you, but I may not fit with that or resonate with that, and I may want or need something else or find comfort or healing in something else and may lean on something else, and that may be a different part of my practice. And that doesn't mean that mine's right or yours is right. It's what I need and yours is what you need, and I shouldn't judge what you need, and you shouldn't judge what I need, and we should try to encourage each other and here's what I'm doing, and here's what I'm doing, and this is what I've found, and this is what I've found. And we can share, and I can try something that you're doing, and you can try something that I'm doing, but we don't have to love or hate each other because of the differences that we have.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. It definitely also brings us into, a much more peaceful, tolerant, compassionate way of being.
Non-judgmental,
Mhm.
non-comparing, all
Mhm.
loving.
Yeah, I mean, we're only human, we will all experience different emotions and circumstances, which are always opportunities for us to really show our self-mastery, our spiritual enlightenment. Are we going to react? Are we going to be that, explosive person and then go back to the om? Or are we going to be able to like maintain the om and, and be explosive? Or just how do we navigate? There's many ways. So it's definitely about finding the balance with ourselves.
Right. And if we are judgmental of somebody else's place or non-accepting of somebody else's place, then we're putting out that kind of judgment or that anger or that frustration or that hate energy. Well, what are we going to get in return from the universe?
Exactly.
So very much it's self-mastery, like you said. If I'm not mastering what I put out towards you, then what's going to come back toward me?
Yeah, exactly. And, this kind of pranic lifestyle, it definitely, I think that because you're not projecting through all the baggage, there's not a lot of layers and baggage of the past and, your accumulation of perspectives and that kind of confusion. You have real mental clarity. So your kind of ability to utilize these universal laws, kind of like this law of attraction, or what you put out, you get back.
That karmic
Um,
law that
it's really spot on, So you get this definitely.
very present, very in the now, very in the
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah, it's like a new superpower that you acquire because you realize that you can manifest things quicker. You have, yeah, just this amazing capacity to communicate with life and manifest your own
Awareness,
life and reality.
awareness, self-awareness, and self-expression. Now I want to make sure that we get to this before we run out of time. You're a mother. You're a mother.
Yes, yes, I
And
am so proudly and happily a mother.
you're a pranic mother. So you became pregnant while not eating,
Yes, I did.
and you raised a baby in your stomach while not eating,
Yeah, I did.
and the baby grew.
Oh yeah, he's an amazing almost 8-year-old now.
But while the baby was developing in your stomach, you weren't taking um, vitamins.
No, I wasn't taking prenatals.
You weren't eating meat.
I wasn't eating meat. I wasn't, eating the recommended daily amount um, for a non-pregnant woman, let alone for a pregnant woman.
Right, right. But the baby grew.
Oh yeah, yeah, and I was very present, and that was my focus. I think 100% was being pregnant and, really having this great gift of being able to be fully present in that experience. So I was having checkups and I was, making sure all along the way that not only did I feel good, but that, everything was in fact good for my baby. So
And didn't you go through some testing too to make sure that everything was okay?
yeah, I did. I did a blood test each trimester. And I also did ultrasounds. I know there's a lot of conflicting opinions about, if they're good for the baby or not, but I think that, yeah, we have the power to override any sort of small radioactive wave. So I wasn't
Oh
afraid of
no,
that.
I think that's so responsible of you to, while you were uh, engaging in this pranic life, you made sure that you checked things up and made sure that everything was working out properly.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like I said, I'm gonna like not eat so that I can get pregnant. It's just kind of how it all
Evolved and it
happened.
happened, right? Yeah, but
Um,
it's monumental and it's important, and people need to know and need to understand that this is possible, that there is an energy that's within us that can nourish and grow us and grow life, grow a baby within
yeah,
without
it
food.
it's a powerful, yeah, just demonstration that life is, when we allow it to, working in our favor. It always wants to give us the best.
Amazing, amazing. So I mean, this is going a little bit personal, and does the female menstrual cycle continue as normal when you're in a breatharian state?
That's a great question. I'm really happy that you asked me that, actually. Um, it can. In my experience, it totally healed. I used to really suffer with that. It was
Yes.
really painful, really heavy, it was
Yes,
really
I've
draining.
heard about this. I've heard about this, and I've had women tell me that this is not true and not possible. So this is really, really wonderful to hear that this is the truth.
Yeah. So I healed whatever was going on and, causing that pain. It definitely was a process of transformation and a lot of letting go and, like healing a lot of, I think, emotions and different things. But in the end, all of that healed itself physically. And so, yeah, I do have my period, and it's very regular. And it's also just very pleasant because there's no pain associated to it anymore. It's just, it really is ideal. And I say that now just with such gratitude because, when I was a teenager, I never thought that that would be possible. I kind of felt like I would always be suffering with that part of my womanhood. But definitely my transformation into breatharianism was 100% what healed that for me.
And even when you were not eating for, was it 3 years?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Even when you were not eating for 3 years, did your menstrual cycle stop at any point?
No, actually, it never stopped.
It
Yeah.
always kept on going.
It did. It always kept
Okay.
on going. Yeah. I know a lot of women who, it's not like that for. I
Some,
noticed this.
so for some women, it does stop.
Yeah, it does stop for some women, but I seem to notice that oftentimes it is in women who um, are very kind of diet focused. So maybe already kind of into veganism or just fruitarian, but really focused on
The food aspect.
yeah, yeah, yes.
They tend to stop the menstrual cycle.
I'm not sure if it's because maybe, there is already kind of some sort of depletion going on because of, I don't know, really.
Or if it's psychological, or if it's just personal and independent.
Yeah, there's exactly,
But
there's not been studies about it.
yes.
I hope to someday collaborate on some studies about this because I feel like it's incredibly important. I mean, that's why I created the Pranic Woman program, because I lived the power of what can be healed, in a generational level, because I was aware also that the pain and all that heaviness that I was experiencing physically was just a result of many different experiences of kind of abuse in my womanhood lineage. And when I kind of said, okay, that's not mine, I'm gonna release it kind of from our womanhood. That's when I healed. That's when I really did. I healed that.
So a lot of the pain that we have, that women have associated with the menstrual cycle, a lot of it is emotional and even potentially past regressive, or in this lifetime regression of pain or emotional baggage that they're holding on to.
I think so. I think that that's going to be really controversial. I think that there will be a lot of people who will not agree with that.
Right. It's an opinion. It's opinion, but you're entitled to an opinion.
But yeah, in my opinion, yes, I would absolutely say that.
Okay, and then the next question I have then is, for the women that do have their menstrual cycle stop, does that mean that they cannot get pregnant?
No. When the menstrual cycle stops, it's indicative of different things, but no. I mean, I've also known women whose cycle have stopped and then they do get pregnant because the eggs are always ovulating. And so
I don't know if you're familiar.
What's that?
Are you familiar with Dr. Arrett?
Arrett with a T?
Yeah, Arrett with a T. Yes.
No.
Yeah, that's the book that kind of got me like moving in this direction of breatharian and foodless life and fruitarianism and fasting, and he, in that book, he says that women that do move to the fruitarian diet, they do stop their menstrual cycle, but he still says that they can still get pregnant and that the babies can grow very healthy and be birthed just on a fruit diet, just on fasting, just on emptiness, just on the energy within.
Yeah. It's during my pregnancy, I definitely put into practice these energy building techniques. I really wanted to, a lot of women come out of their pregnancy really depleted, like part of their vitality has, left them. This is oftentimes why women live, less than men, live shorter lives than men, because, especially in places where you have like 7, 8, or 9 children. Imagine if you're not aware that you also can access energy from other sources, and all of that vital energy is just leaving you little by little. It can be very depleting. But, you asked me if I had done tests during my pregnancy, and actually this was kind of an interesting and really affirming moment for me when I was sharing my pregnancy with probably like 6 girlfriends. We were all just happened to be pregnant at the same time, and I was the only one living in this way. But everyone was really focused in the green juices and taking iron supplements, to avoid anemia. And I remember in the 3rd trimester of, everybody was coming back with their results like, I'm anemic, I have to drink more green juices. And there was this common thread. And when I got my results also for my 3rd trimester blood test, You could see that there had been no fluctuation from first trimester to third trimester. So even though I wasn't taking iron supplements or drinking green juices, I was not anemic. I had, great blood cell count. Everything was, perfect numbers.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. So we don't have to gain 50 pounds of fat by eating bagels and ice cream when we're pregnant, ladies.
Yeah, we can.
Okay, so you know what? We're running out of time, so I want to get to talking a little bit about what's coming up for you guys, you and Akai, husband and wife breatharianism couple. You guys are having a 8-day breatharian challenge coming up in Paris, October 12th to the 19th. Myself and my wife, Dora, are going to be participating in that together. That's going to be a great energetic restart for us. We're making a commitment to that together, and I'm excited about that.
So good. Yeah, absolutely. I'm so excited that you guys are going to be joining us. And yes, my husband Akai and we teach the 8-day breatharian process internationally and have been for about 10 years. It is a super powerful breatharian transformation in which you learn these tools that I've been talking about. You equip yourself with the proven practices to increment your energy, to improve your health emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually. It is a kind of all-encompassing program. We also experience, like I mentioned before, some juice fasting, dry fasting, and we also experience the transition back into liquids. And so we kind of get the full spectrum experience so that our bodies really live that understanding of what it means to be in the pure pranic state, just fully nourished by prana, and then also reintroducing liquids and observing our bodies and what that contributes to our lives. So yeah, it's a super kind of comprehensive, very hands-on experience. And the live event in Paris is actually totally booked. So there are no more in-person spaces left. But because, so many people have wanted to participate, we are offering the 8-day breatharian challenge, which will be live streamed, all of the sessions at in real time with Paris and our group there. And so, we have participants all around the world who have already signed up and are going to be joining along the 8 days.
Yes, that's fantastic. And I'm going to put a link along with this video that if anyone wants to join in with Dora and I and my group of friends that are going to do it, so that we can all join in with you guys. And,
awesome. Yeah, it's amazing, the community that's created, and absolutely, if you can gather your tribe where you are and participate all together, that's amazing. But regardless, you connect with like-minded community all around the world, people experiencing and kind of evolving in the direction that you are. And so yeah, we're super excited. You can sign up. There are limited spaces, but we do still have space available.
Okay, cool.
You're going to leave the link here, John.
Yeah, I will.
Anybody who wants to join to do so, because it's going to be awesome, mind-blowing.
Awesome. Okay. You know what, Camilla, I think I've taken enough of your time, and I think we did a really good job of shining some light on breatharianism and clearing up, maybe I hope, some misconception and maybe some fear and some misunderstanding, and hopefully put some things to bed, and hopefully didn't stir up too many things at the same time.
Oh yeah, so good. It's been such a nice chat here with you, John, and really happy to just have this opportunity to get to know you and share a bit about the awesome possibilities that we all have available to us.
So amazing, so amazing. Thanks so much, Camilla, and I look forward to working with you and Akai in the next couple of weeks, and hopefully talking again soon.
Absolutely. Enjoy your evening, and bye to all the beauties watching us. Thanks for joining.